Hello and welcome to the second crash course in PHP string manipulation. Today we're going to look at some more advanced features in PHP for manipulating strings. We're going to cut up strings today, we're going to slice them up, and we're going to change the formatting and count the lengths and so forth of the strings. So let's get started here. Let's open up a PHP tag as I demonstrated in the previous tutorial, and then we're going to create a variable. We're going to just call this temp. We're going to assign it a string, and the string is the cat sat on the mat, like so. And I'm just going to quickly echo this out so we can actually see the string. So temp, I'm also going to put in some a new line as well. Okay, let's save that and then run the PHP file so we can see that we've echoed out the cat sat on the mat. I'm actually going to put in is just to make it a little bit more sense. There we go, the cat is sat on the mat. Okay, so what can we do with this string? Well, first of all, I'm going to show you how we can actually count the amount of characters in this string. And we're going to use a function called strlen. Now, PHP has a series of inbuilt functions. The ones that start with str are usually ones that manipulate strings. So the one we're going to look at is strlen. Okay, and as you can see in the comments here in the documentation, we're going to get a string length, and we're going to pass in. It takes one parameter, which is the string, and it's going to be the string being measured for length. So we're just going to echo out strlen. I'm going to open up the parentheses, and I'm going to pass in temp as the string that we wish to count. And that's going to return an integer. That's going to return a number, 25, because there's 25 characters within this string. Now, please note that this count also includes the spaces in between each word. They're characters, and therefore they'll be counted. And just to demonstrate, if I added in, if I added in some blank space here, like so, and save that, we can see that the count is actually increasing. And again, if I put the spaces at the front, we can see it increasing even further. Let me save that. There we go. Sorry. There we go. 36. Right. So strlen doesn't remove any blank space either side. To do so, and let me just echo that out as well, just to show you the difference that has made. So let's go and echo out a There we go. Okay, so here, go up again. There we go. So we can see that we've actually added some spaces to the left hand side here. Now we can actually trim this down by using a method called trim, a PHP function called trim. So I'll do that now. So trim, and we strip white spaces or other characters from the beginning and end of the string. Now where it says or other characters, you can actually put in a character mask to strip those characters out, but by default it does white space, which is exactly what we need. So let's do trim of temp, and also we're going to put trim in here. So it's going to trim the temp variable before it counts the length of the variable. Okay, so now it's gone back to how it was originally. So the cat is sat on the mat. We don't have the white space before or after, and the count has been reduced from 36 to 25. Now, trim is very useful, especially when you're dealing with user input. Say you've got a series of forms on your website, and you need to handle the data that the user has submitted. The first thing that you need to do is clean that data, and a method that you can use when you're cleaning that and sanitizing the data is this trim method. Trim will just remove the white space or any of the characters from the left and right of the string. Often you can accidentally add empty spaces in a string without realizing it. It's especially common if I was to remove that. It's especially common on the end of the string. So let's just remove trim here and remove trim here and save that. So the trimmed count is 25, but I've kept that going on the right hand side, so I've added some white space here. So if I was to do that, then we can see that it's back up to 31. Now the string itself at a glance looks like it has been trimmed, but in fact there is white space at this point here, so that we need to trim down. So it's very important to use that trim mechanism. Okay, the next thing we can do is access the characters at a certain position in this string, and we do so by treating the string like an array and then accessing the index in the string. So let's say I wanted to access or return the character at the second position here. Well, because it's the second position, we would actually use the index of 1. I'll show you why in a minute. Let me just bring that down. And because we're accessing it like an array, we use square brackets, and we want to access the character at array index of 1. Now that's actually going to return the H instead of the T, and that's because when dealing with arrays in PHP or in many other languages, the indexes of an array start at 0, so T would be 0, H would be 1, and E would be 2. So even though we want to get the character at position 2, we actually want to use the first index or array index of 1. So let me save that and then run that, and we can see that we've actually returned H, which is exactly what we were after. If I was to change that to be 2, that would return E, like so. Okay, so the next thing I would like to show you is actually how we can change the capitalization of this string. At the moment you can see that it's the first letter of each word is capitalized. We can actually lowercase the whole string. I'm just going to remove that blank space as well. And we would do that by another string manipulation function called str to lower. So str to lower, and we can see in the documentation it makes a string lowercase, and the parameters is the string that we wish to lowercase. So here it's just temp. Whoops. And let's run that and see what happens. So we can see that now this whole string here is in lowercase. Let's just clear that down to give us some room. And the opposite of str to lower would be str to upper. So str to upper. Okay, so that's going to capitalize all the characters in the string. Let's just run that. So now we can see that the cat is sat on the mat and it's shouting at you because everything is in uppercase. Okay, the next thing we can do is actually split this string up into individual strings. So let's say we want to create an array of elements or words in this string, and we can do so by using the explode method function in PHP. And explode just basically splits a string by a string, and the string that we're exploding by, or the delimiter that we are using, would be the blank space here. So let's do that now. Let's run explode, And again, so what the documentation is, split a string by a string, where the first parameter is the delimiter, so the boundary string. The second parameter is the input string, so that would be temp. And then the third parameter, which is optional, is the a limit, so that can limit the amount of strings to split. So the first one is the delimiter, so we're going to use an empty string, and the second parameter is just the string itself, which is temp. We're not going to worry about the third one at the moment. Because that's going to return an array, we need to print that out in a nice format. So we're going to do print pre. I'm going to put that in pre tags, which just means that it's going to be a formatted return. And we're going to do a print r, and a print r essentially does a human readable return of the variable or the information within that variable. So let's do that. So print r. So the first argument here is the blank string. That's the delimiter. That's what we want to split it by. The second argument is the string that we want to use. And just to tidy it up, I'm going to run or close this tag off, like so. So that's going to return, or it should return, an array. So let's run that now. And it has. Okay, so we now have an array in this print r format. We can see the cat is sat on the mat. That is the amount that these are the indexes. So that's an array index. And if I was to do ARR is equal to an explode of that, we're just going to have that as temp, and we're going to have that as the delimiter. What we can do is, if I was to do an echo, we can echo out portions of this string now. So the first portion would be the. Let's go and get the second portion, which is cat. So that's index of 1, and that should just return the word cat, which it has done. I'm just going to put a new line in just to make it a little bit more readable. Whoops. There we go. There we go. So we've now manipulated the string. We pulled out the word cat, which is the second word within this this exploded string. So what we've done here, so this temp here, this is the string that we're using. We've created a new variable called ARR, and that is assigned to the return of this explode method. So we're splitting this temp string by this delimiter. Delimiter here is just an empty string. So that's going to assign ARR this array here, and then we're going to echo out the word at the first position. The first position being the second word, because again, like I said, with arrays we start counting at index 0. If that was index 0, like this, then we would print out the word the. And likewise, if that was index 6, like so, that would print out mat. Also, what we can do is, if we don't know the count of this, if we don't actually know the count, we can use a function called end. And end is literally going to get the last part of the last element in this array. So let's just do that now. I'm going to just clear that down to give us some room, and then run that, and we can see that we've returned mat again. So end returns the last index value, which is mat, like so. Okay, so there's some extra string manipulation techniques that follow on from the previous crash course, PHP crash course. Do check that out if you haven't done already. If you've got any questions, then either put them in the comments section below or send me a message on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @pfwd. If you found this video helpful, then do like the video, and please do share it around if you think others might find it helpful too. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe to pick up the next ones, and I will see you again soon. Cheers, bye. Tired now.